Why is a world with dinosaurs and humans impossible? The idea of a world where humans and dinosaurs live side by side has been stirring the imagination for decades. Books, movies, and games draw before us spectacles where ancient lizards roam the savannas alongside hunters in skins or run through megacities in the spirit of Jurassic Park. But here's the question. Is such a world possible in reality? Why couldn't dinosaurs and humans ever coexist? It turns out that there are several quite logical and fatal reasons. Just a puppet. We are separated by millions of years. Dinosaurs became extinct some 66 million years ago, long before even the earliest primitive ancestors of humans. At that time, mammals were small nocturnal creatures, about the size of rats, who were just learning to survive in a world of giants. Humans as a species, Homo sapiens, on the other hand, did not appear until about 300,000 years ago. Even if we somehow brought the dinosaurs back, it would be an ecological disaster. We not only did not overlap, we evolved in two completely different worlds, with different climates, different atmospheres, and different ecological logics. Dinosaurs lived in a different climate. The Mesozoic era, the time when the dinosaurs reigned, was an order of magnitude warmer and wetter. The atmosphere contained much more carbon dioxide, and the average temperature on the planet was higher than today. Even the geography of the Earth itself was different. The continents had not yet taken their modern form. If you put dinosaurs in our world, especially in harsh areas with cold climates, many of them simply would not have survived. Their biology was hardwired for rainforests, marshy plains, and stable heat. And if you put humans in the Mesozoic, they would have died from the heat, humidity, new bacteria, and toxic plants. Ecosystems are incompatible. Dinosaurs weren't just big, they were part of a giant food web designed for very different resources. Many of them, herbivores like Diplodocus or Brachiosaurus, ate tens of kilograms of vegetation every day. In today's world, that amount of greenery is simply not available, especially in the concentrations it was then. And the predators? Imagine an enraged Tyrannosaurus living on the modern African savanna or near cities. Humanity wouldn't have been able to cope. Summon an army for every large predator? Establish total control of dinosaurs as killer predators? That's unrealistic. We'd be victims in our own world. Modern diseases would have killed the dinosaurs, and theirs would have killed us. Viruses, bacteria, and parasites are no less powerful killers than the teeth of predators. Dinosaurs were immune to modern diseases. A single mosquito bite or bacteria from the soil could wipe out an entire population. At the same time, humans are unprepared for the microbial legacy of the Mesozoic. The simplest viruses living for millions of years in the bones of dinosaurs could be deadly to us. We would have wiped them out, or they would have wiped us out. Let's assume the unbelievable. Dinosaurs and humans exist together. Very quickly, we would have an environmental and military problem. Dinosaurs would be a source of fear, destruction, and threat, which means that humans, as they always do, would have begun to hunt, destroy, and enslave. Or vice versa. If predatory dinosaurs dominated, they would have displaced us as weaker creatures. Either way, coexistence would be temporary and end in conflict. Even cloning won't save the fantasy. Sometimes people say, what if we clone dinosaurs from DNA? Scientifically, that's almost impossible. DNA degrades over hundreds of thousands of years. Even perfectly frozen, it loses functionality. All we have is fossils, and fossils are minerals, not organics. Any modern attempt to create a dinosaur are genetic hybrids that won't be true Jurassic reptiles. Architecture. Cities under protection. Imagine this. 66 million years have passed, but the catastrophe that wiped out the dinosaurs has not happened. They survived, evolved. We shared the planet with mammals, insects, and birds. And so, after millions of years, man nevertheless appeared, made his way through the ancient biological chaos, and began to build his civilization. But she could no longer be the way we know her. In a world where bus-sized predators can exist next to you, architecture becomes a matter of survival. Live among the giants. First of all, people would not have been able to develop in open steppes and forests as it happened in Africa. The emergence of man as an intelligent being would have occurred in conditions of constant threat, from flocks of small but deadly dromaeosaurs to slow but massive sauropods capable of destroying everything around with one step. The open space becomes a dangerous territory where every moment can cost a life. This means that the formation of settlements and architectural solutions from the very beginning would have followed the path of defense, not comfort. A house is not a shelter from the rain, but a fortress from a predator. The city is not a square and an embankment, but a bunker with loopholes. The evolution of buildings, from burrows to towers. At an early stage of architecture, such people would probably have started building underground. These are the simplest and most reliable shelters. They hide from view, muffle the smell, and protect from attacks from above. Underground tunnels would become the basis of settlements with exits disguised as the terrain. This is a world of cave civilizations, similar not to the Stone Age, but to the underground age of fear. With the development of tools, attempts to build vertically would begin. Why up? Because height is safety. Dinosaurs, even the most agile ones, rarely know how to climb. The tower becomes what a castle was to a medieval knight. From here, tower settlements appear, resembling a mixture of Tibetan monasteries, mountain villages, and defensive fortresses. The shape of buildings is domes, depressions, shelters disguised as rocks or vegetation. The less a building looks like something alive, the less likely it is to be attacked. Fortified infrastructure. The main problem is the scale of the threat. Even a herbivorous sauropod can destroy a house just by passing by. To survive, people would have to rethink the entire infrastructure. Roads are not paved roads, but suspension bridges and tunnels built at height or underground. The entrances to the houses are on the second or third level, with movable lifts or hidden stairs. Windows and balconies are narrow, closed, armored glass, or sashes with stone cladding. Notification systems are required. Sound sensors and vibration sensors are placed on the roofs, which respond to the approach of large body masses. Architecture turns into a living armor. Each building is a mix of a defensive bastion and a technological surveillance facility. Intelligence and construction. Intelligence in this world is not about comfort, but about engineering superiority over threat. Humans would become survival engineers. Building materials are not bricks and concrete, but materials that can withstand shocks, vibrations, scratches, and weight. Cities inside rocks are a possible architectural trend. Like ancient Petra in Jordan, or the monasteries in the Cappadocian caves, humanity settles in natural crevices, canyons, gorges. The entire area is fenced with giant walls lubricated with repellent substances. Perhaps sound barriers and biochemical repellents are being developed. Thus, cities would not grow widely, they would grow inwards and upwards. These are vertical, modular, and often mobile settlements. The aesthetics of fear and ritual architecture doesn't just reflect fear, it interprets and symbolizes it. Houses are decorated with signs of protection, patterns in the form of claws, frightening symbols, murals with images of dinosaurs defeated by heroes or deities. Architectural totems are being formed, figures with eyes on roofs, imitating predators, columns with ritual masks making sounds in the wind. The area around the house is a ritual field. Here, victims are laid out, animal bones, fragrant plants, rodent skin, to distract from the smell of humans. Thus, architecture becomes an extension of religion based on fear of predators. The house itself is a rite of passage. Modern cities and technologies. If we come to our time, the architecture of the high-tech era in a world with dinosaurs is not just urbanism, it is a fortification of the next level. Domes over cities made of flexible, self-healing materials. Flying residential platforms that hover over dangerous areas. Transportation without land. Pipelines, cable cars, maglev platforms, protected tunnels. A digital predator tracking network, like Google Maps for dinosaurs. Every city monitors migrations, knowing when to close down. Humanity in this world is not the master of the planet, but its engineering parasite, surviving on architectural ingenuity. A world in which dinosaurs have not disappeared is not just a fantasy. This is a fundamental revision of the entire human path. We used to think that man is the crown of nature, the pinnacle of evolution, an unhindered explorer of the planet. But if there were still beings on Earth with physical strength, speed, and size that surpass any modern life forms, our path would be much more modest, careful, and survivable. Everything that makes us human takes on a different meaning in this world. Architecture? It's no longer a matter of aesthetics or style. It's an armor. This is survival. Buildings are shields, and cities are fortified camps deep in enemy territory. They look more like military bases than cultural centers. Transportation, it's not freedom and speed. This is invisibility. It's a trick. It's an instinct to hide, to disguise oneself, to be quieter than a giant step. Underground, in the sky, through a capsule, in an exoskeleton, in an odorless mask. Moving is a game of hide and seek with creatures that have ruled the planet for tens of millions of years. In such a world, man is not the king of nature. He's not a hunter, he's a prey. He's not a dominant, he's an observer. Everything that makes us intelligent becomes an instrument of protection, not power. But there is an amazing truth in this too. A person, even in the most terrible conditions, finds a way to adapt. We know how to be afraid and not give up. We can observe and learn lessons. We can not only survive, but also build our culture, philosophy, art, and religion around threats. We turn fear into knowledge, the environment into engineering, and chaos into a system. Maybe we would be smaller in this world. We would not have conquered the ocean. We would not have gone into space. We would not have built skyscrapers. But we would have done something more. We would learn to live on the edge, to balance between threat and harmony. Each of our cities would become a masterpiece of defense. Each of our movements is a triumph of engineering. Each generation is a new step in the evolution of the survival strategy. This is a world where a person would become a shadow genius among the titans, not breaking nature, but penetrating it carefully, flexibly, according to the laws of the same antiquity in which he found himself. And this is the real essence of humanity.